So what is a magic piggy bank and how does it work? Write this down. A magic piggy bank is any system that, number one, allows you to deduct from your taxes. Number two, it creates value in and of itself. And number three, returns your money tax-free. And I'm going to give you a real easy example here in just a moment. But some simple ones would be real estate, equipment, team members, mastermind groups such as Genius Network, or any service or product. And with the CARES Act and COVID legislation, we actually now have an opportunity that we can get a refund for your last 5 years of taxes.
April 15th is just 22 days away in the United States, and April 30th is 37 days away in Canada. The tax collector is waiting for your money. I nearly stuttered there. What if you didn't have to pay anything, yet your business is thriving, your investments are soaring, and you're following all the rules about taxes? That sounds like a fairy tale, yet it's possible, and you will know how some of the recent COVID legislation and the CARES Act changes that have opened up significant advantages for you in generating tax-free wealth. That's the key words, tax-free wealth. This is what many of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the world are doing, and you can too. If I told you your next 10-minute speaker was a prominent tax accountant or a highly experienced financial advisor or even a former IRS agent turned entrepreneur, you might feel pretty confident about the ideas you're about to hear. Fortunately, your next speaker is none of those. He's Dr. Thaddeus Gala, a healthcare professional who oversees more than 50,000 patient visits a year at his clinics. Now he's turned into a financial mentor to hundreds of entrepreneurs through his own mastermind group, The Guardians, which helps entrepreneurs reduce their taxes by 96%, plus keeping their money liquid in the process. Dr. Gala has achieved amazing financial results. Here's just one example. He turned a $10,000 cash investment into an over $500,000 tax-free pile of cash. Those keywords are tax-free. No, this wasn't cryptocurrency, NFTs, or marijuana sales. It was actually cocaine. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. In just a few minutes, you will know exactly how you can do it, why you should do it, when you can do it, and what the benefit will be for you. Dr. Gala got into this 8 years ago when faced with a giant tax bill. At the same time, he became aware of this startling financial fact. The average entrepreneur like you is paying about 35% or more in taxes every year. That means if you're in that category, you work all of January, February, March, and April. Yes, 1/3 of the year just to create enough revenue to pay your taxes. This is what started Dr. Gala on his quest to generate tax-free wealth. The title is Your Own Magic Piggy Bank. Please welcome Dr. Thaddeus Gala. Thaddeus.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right. So what is a magic piggy bank, and can you really write off your business bank deposits? Well, yes and no. And some of these strategies we're going to be talking about are going to be pretty high level, so I don't assume that we're going to answer all the questions in the next few minutes here. So how do you get excited about taxes? Because if you're like me, it feels like when I hear the word tax come up, I want to jam a screwdriver in my ear or in my eye because it's absolutely painful. So would you rather, raise your hand if you'd like to increase your top line revenue by 54% or more. All right? Now, what would you rather have, that or completely eliminate your taxes? Who would like 54% more revenue over eliminating their taxes? Who would like to eliminate taxes? Okay, you guys are in the right camp. Because what we know is that with taxes, it comes down to the rule of 6. Why is this even important? Well, we spend so much time and so much energy on the front end to create and generate sales that we oftentimes have a sieve in the back end. And what do I mean by that? If you assume that you have a 25% profit margin and a 35% tax bracket, every dollar that you save in taxes is worth $6 of top line revenue. So if you're able to save $1 million in taxes, that's like creating a $6 million business. And here's the thing, think of how hard it is to create a business and to become profitable. And if you are profitable, that's when you're losing out. So any time that you spend on saving taxes is a 6-to-1 ROI, and it's guaranteed. Why? Because you can put marketing efforts and energy into the front of your business, but it doesn't guarantee sales. But if you put energy into the back end and it reduces it, if it's money that you've already made, you're just keeping it so that you can deploy it and use it in your business, for your family, for your team, etc. So what is a magic piggy bank? Think of it like this. The wealthy people don't pay taxes. It's not really a secret that we know that it's all over the news, but very few people actually take the time to understand how to integrate this into their business. And we know that many millionaires and billionaires do not pay taxes, and they keep their money completely liquid. Well, here's the problem. Just like doctors often get things wrong, they're professionals, so do CPAs. CPAs are not seasoned strategists, they are recorders and reporters. Let me say that again. CPAs are not strategists, they are recorders and reporters. You simply give them information and they simply take it and say, this is what you owe. CPAs are not trained, nor are they licensed to really put their minds around how to be strategic for you. And that's one of the first problems, is we're entrepreneurially minded, and what's happening is we are giving our one of our most hard-earned aspects of our business is the money we actually make, and we're giving it over to somebody that's not, they're just more recording and reporting for you. They're not actually strategizing. So there's two types of CPAs. There's those that work for you, that understand magic piggy banks, and there's those that are infected with Dave Ramsey disease and that work for the IRS. So think about which kind of, here's the thing, I'll say this, I'll be so bold as to say, if you are paying taxes, if you're paying taxes, you need to find a new CPA, period. I will be that bold. If you're paying taxes, you need a new CPA, or you need a different financial team on your side, which is one of the reasons why, well, I won't get into that. So are you playing chess or are you playing checkers? Rakeem, did we die there? There we go. Raise your hand if you ever heard of Darren Brown. Okay? Is magic real? No, of course not. But Darren Brown may make you think that magic is real. How did he beat 9 chess players, including 2 grandmasters? Because he understood the rules of the game and he used those rules to his advantage, playing within a framework. So are you playing chess or are you playing checkers? Because Darren Brown, what he did was he put 9 people in a circle and he memorized one move and he played it against the person 4 people around. So all he had to do was memorize 4 moves at a time, and he went around and everyone was blown away. They thought he was this grandmaster champion. All he did was understand the rules and understand how the rules could apply to him, and that's how he beat the game. Because really it is a game. So what is a magic piggy bank and how does it work? Write this down. A magic piggy bank is any system that, number 1, allows you to deduct from your taxes. Number 2, it creates value in and of itself. And number 3, returns your money tax-free. And I'm going to give you a real easy example here in just a moment. But some simple ones would be real estate, equipment, team members, mastermind groups such as Genius Network, or any service or product. And with the CARES Act and COVID legislation, we actually now have an opportunity that we can get a refund for your last 5 years of taxes. Who would like a refund for their last 5 years of taxes? Because but here's the thing, I'm willing to bet that you, nor your CPA, is out there reading the 70,000 plus pages to understand these tax changes. How many of you even knew, raise your hand if you knew that you could get a refund for your last 5 years of taxes due to some of the recent legislation? A full refund for your last 5 years of taxes. See, this is the problem, right? And we're in a group of geniuses. So if your CPA isn't telling you this, here's the thing, your CPA is not an entrepreneur. And for somehow, when we're entrepreneurially minded, we relinquish our entrepreneurial mindset when we hand everything over to our CPA, and we just assume that they're going to take care of this in this golden cradle of wonderfulness, but that's not what happens. So I'm going to give you a falling off a log easy example. You're Farmer John, right? And you have things that you need for your business. So you go out and buy a $100,000 tractor, perfect. We all know this. This is simple. You deduct that from your taxes. You just written off your taxes. You go back to the John Deere and you say, hey, I just spent $100,000 on this tractor, but now I'm at $100,000. So John Deere says, hey, you know what? We really like you, Farmer John. We want to give you your money back. So we're going to give you a 100% loan on your tractor at 0% interest because we love you. We have this great new program, etc. So what do? You get the benefit of the tractor, which has a value. You could write it off, and you get your money back 100% tax-free. That is an example of a magic piggy bank. And there's infinite examples out there. Again, I know this isn't going to pertain to everyone, but it's going to pertain to you, because thinking about things in your life, in your business, resources, contacts, services, and products that you are going to be needing that can appreciate and can grow in value that you can borrow against. The wealthy people understand this. Write this down. Borrowing against appreciating assets and understanding the value of debt, or VOD, in that time erases all debt. I'll say that again. Time erases all debt and makes debt obsolete. So if you have Dave Ramsey disease and you're thinking debt is bad, then we need to get you cured of that. Because again, a magic piggy bank is any system that you can deduct from your taxes, creates value in itself, and returns your money tax-free. Now let's see this. This is where it gets juicy. This is where it gets really good. Imagine if you're Farmer John and you do this 3 times in a row. This is where you're using tax-free money to now show losses. There's no reason, now, I don't believe there's any real reason why you need to pay income tax. I'm a big fan of excise taxes, but I'm not a big fan of income taxes. But here's the thing, if you can generate tax-free wealth, you can use this money to then go and deduct it from other expenses. So if you did this 3 times over, you could actually show a loss of $300,000, still have $100,000 back in your pocket, and you have the value of the 3 tractors. And I know that this is a real basic, simple example, and I'm saying it's so simple a farmer can use this, right? It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. So we know death and taxes. I got a $250,000 tax bill years ago. I only had $30,000 in the bank account. That's what put me on this track years ago and made me shift away from the clinic focus and poring over medical books to focusing and poring over the IRS books. And because I like getting letters like this. Dr. Gala, there's no taxable payable with the filing of your return. That's what I want. So I'm going to give one other example, a little more advanced, and you may already be doing this. I bought a $12,000, who loves real estate? Everyone should be in real estate. Only invest in real estate if you're getting depreciation. Let me say that again. Only invest in real estate if you're getting associated depreciation. Do not give money. Don't just give people money and get a return on your investment. Don't just say, hey, here's money at 12%. Only get it if you're going to be a limited or a general partner in the deal, so you're getting the benefit of the depreciation. Here's one example. I bought a building for $1.6 million. It only cost me $10,000 out of pocket. How did I do that? The bank paid 75%. The owner carried 25%. It cash flowed $2,000 a month. So I came in with $10,000. I got $287 back at closing. So I put 0.59% down payment. After 5 years, it appreciated. And this building is now worth, I was able to write off depreciation, so I cut my taxes by about $400,000. It now appraises for 2.5. I just pulled out $500,000 completely tax-free. So I turned $10,000 into $500,000 tax-free. But this is the beautiful part. Because I'm borrowing, is that money, if you borrow money, is it taxed or is it tax-free? It's tax-free. So if I'm borrowing this $500,000 that I just magically made out of thin air, and now I go hire a key team member for $100 grand, or if I go invest in something, that money I get to write off. So I just created magical money tax-free, and I just got a $500,000 tax write-off. That's the power of creating a magic piggy bank. And you can do this in all different areas. So are you playing chess like this master, or like this sucker that's losing to him down there? So again, are you playing chess and just going in one direction, or are you playing checkers and do you understand all the ins and outs of the game? So you have 2 options. You can either do nothing and pay taxes, never to be seen again, writing that check to Uncle Sam, or you can understand this process and eliminate your taxes without using all of those other middle class, less than ideal situations and scenarios. Because how many of your years go to paying taxes? Well, every year on average, you work about 11 to 15 years of your life just to wake up every day to pay taxes. And I believe that the more money that I can help entrepreneurs keep in their pocket, it's going to create more jobs, it's going to solve more problems in the world, it's going to go to those that really need it, it's going to go to their team, to their family, and it's probably going to be much more, you're going to have a much better stewardship of it than going to a nameless, faceless governmental entity that gives it to special interests.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
If you're looking at, so next steps, if you're looking at having to pay taxes, instead use those funds into a deductible asset. Number 3, that you can borrow against and then ultimately eliminate your taxes forever. So imagine instead of writing that check to Uncle Sam, writing that check to yourself. Thank you.
Watch out. So.
Uh-oh, we got questions?
Maybe.
Okay.
And we've got Joel. So,
Come on, doctor.
Oh, God. This is worse than taxes. No, this is best. This is
Well, first you get your can for that presentation. By show of hands, how many are going to look at your taxes or talk to your CPA or accountant based on what you just heard? Raise your hand. If it's okay. Okay, that's results. This was a great presentation. Sure, he's got a lot of energy, humor. We had laughter in there. We had a crystal clear message, again, one single point about taxes. But what made it so good that you can use? Well, the opening. If you love to pay taxes, this isn't for you.
That's not good.
Are you saying something like that to disqualify part of your audience? Then we had a little technical problem. Rakeem came out, you made no reaction. You just kept going. You saw Rakeem here, he knows more than we do. Shut up, keep going. And that's what was great about that part. How about the rule of 6? Can anybody tell me what that is? What is the rule of 6? How many know what it is? Look at that. We heard it for the first time. You remember, it's simple. And that's what you did. Kept it simple enough that us as non-accountants could understand this. The slides were terrific with the black background, much easier on your eyes than white background. The chess metaphor, you used that throughout. That was really good. Are you using a metaphor to make the point that the audience can relate to? Chess versus checkers, and coming back to it again. He used another very effective, by the way, write this down. Okay, don't write it down. Well, that's what he told you to do. What did that say to you? Okay, write this down. Something important is coming up. Really pay attention. He didn't have to say it. Just write this down. Great technique to use. And then a power pause. This is really juicy. And he just stopped. That's a power pause. You do that. Stop and just let him get ready for that next idea. You repeated those key points. Let's give him a chess player's hand for another great presentation. That was great, Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That was very interesting. So how do we know that you're not suggesting some sort of little crazy tax scam here?
You don't. Well, here's the thing. All of this you can do all of this without me, or you know, 'cause like you can go out and you can buy real estate, right? And you can do that. You can go out and buy a tractor. And I use those two very different examples to say, like, you can do this with all different things. You know, you can join Genius, you know, X for 100K, and then you could go to, not that this is ideal, but you could go to like Chase Bank then and get a line of credit for 100K.
Right.
And now you still have your money, right? Tax free. And you're getting the value and benefit of Genius X and all that stuff. So you can do this with just about any service or product, and you can do this on your own. The problem is that your CPA will likely say, you shouldn't do this, because they look at debt and look at numbers. They don't really necessarily look at it from an investor or a strategic standpoint.
Gotcha. Is there any CPAs in the room? Is there any, what would be your initial reaction to what you just heard?
Lucky for me, I wanted to be a novelist when I grew up, not a certified public accountant, but I did not enjoy being an unpublished novelist. Didn't pay well. I've worked with some guys who actually did this very same thing years ago, where I got hired and they gave me all kinds of tax write-offs, so I didn't pay taxes for a number of years. So if you do it, and I was part of the defense team, the legal team that kept everybody out of the joint. So these things are actually possible, and I've actually lived them and seen them used. The biggest problem that CPAs have is basically we are not by nature, unlike me, creative. I've interviewed CPAs since 1976 when I became a CPA, and most of them are not creative. Most of them are fear-based. Now, if you really run around and talk to a bunch of them, you will find some real guys and gals who really hop and bop and do stuff, but they are the exception to the rule. The other part is commonly entrepreneurs go broke and don't keep track of stuff, lose records and what have you, and then they're screwed, blued, and tattooed when it comes to this stuff, because you have to keep really good records. And what we did to defend those was we moved tons of information and testified to them under oath in court. So in our business, we tell everybody, we pretend this is going to be recorded and testified to under oath in a court of law. So keep a civil tongue in your head at all times. We do all kinds of cool strategies, make no mistake about it, but we're the exception to the rule, just like you are. Most people hate debt, particularly when it comes to the fact that right now, what is inflation? 7%. How much can you borrow money to buy real estate? A lot less than 7%. So at hello, mathematically, you're making money.
Free money, yeah.
Sadly, you have to know a lot more about real estate than what we just said, because there's certain sectors that are doing very well and certain sectors that are not. And the ones that are doing well are not the most attractive. Warehouse space, because Amazon is doing that like crazy. So these are actually viable strategies which I've used over the years. You just will not find many people doing it. Most people in this room keep, sorry to say this, when Keith Cunningham was in here talking about keeping accurate records, I heard a bunch of people who should go nameless moaning because they knew so little about their information. And most of the problems in this room can be solved with an envelope in terms of just how simple they are to keep track of stuff. So these strategies will actually work, but to find a CPA that will actually go along with you would be the exception to the rule, make no mistake about it.
I love what you just said, because we have a firm that we partner with. They have about a team of 100. They handle about 1,500 clients, and they have a former IRS auditing agent on their team. And when we were working on some of these different strategies, because we co-manage a lot of clients and so forth, they said the number one reason that people get audited and lose, what do you think it is? What do you think the number one reason why people lose an audit?
Lack of documentation.
Documentation. They say if it's documented, then it's just a conversation, and then it's an argument or discussion, and it's kind of like the bully, right? They want the weak kid they can just like shake upside down and have the lunch money come out. So if you have documentation, you have your armament there, they're usually going to lose.
Also, that agent will share with you what actually generates an audit beyond what you just said, because there's certain parameters that they have in terms of that. And for you and me, that's a no sure.
Yeah.
For the rest of the room, it is not a no sure.
Yeah.
You just have to know that. One other missing piece is if you're buying those 3 tractors, you better have a use for those 3 tractors.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Well, that's an of course to you.
I said Farmer John.
You need to actually explain
I thought that was inherent when I said Farmer John on a ranch and he's growing crops.
In addition to you can just sell 3 tractors at hello. In addition to the real estate, make sure that you have a viable use for that and actually hire some folks that can actually get that stuff to actually generate income. Which obviously you're a doctor, therefore at hello, people return your calls because you're a minor deity at hello. And if you can save people taxes, people want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. I liked it.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? We'll take one more.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm in real estate. I've done cost segregation. It's supercharged when you're a real estate professional, right?
Yeah.
Like that is awesome. And so, I try to buy the truck, the cars that would fit that. And I have the life insurance stuff where you can borrow against your policy, but
only do that after you've already zeroed out your taxes.
Yeah. And I did do that, but explain if you can a little bit more, like what avenues you've seen that are best. One, I agree with John, like to keep track of all of that, if you keep doing that, that just seems like a whole extra job, to keep track of like your loan against this or against that. Like, do you have like, I guess, institutions or banks that you found are the best to do that?
Come grab me and we can talk about that, because that's a little more in depth. But the shorter answer would be yes. I mean, you find the right playmates and the right playgrounds that can do that for you and then set it up that's simple and that's easy. So like with real estate, I mean, you either go learn it yourself, which is a whole new skill set, right? Or you find someone that you can do it with that you're getting the benefit from, and then you just factor in the opportunity cost. So you get all the juicy benefits of it, but you don't have to go out and understand real estate. So like you go and invest with a really well-known group, or that really knows real estate, but you're getting the tax benefits of it, and so you just get it at the end of the year. But I think it's finding a team that can help you strategize that and be proactive versus December 31st reactive, trying to figure it all out. And that's the big thing is most entrepreneurs, when it comes to taxes, is we do this. And we literally just think, I'll deal with this later. Right? I'll just make more money, or I'll figure this shit out some other way. And we just don't do it because it's pain. It's like screwdriver in the ear, like type stuff. I mean, taxes is horrible. It sucks, but it's free money. It's 1 to 6 ROI return on average.
We'll take one question from John, and then Randy online, and then go ahead, John, if you.
All I'm getting is that most CPAs, unlike me, will not interrupt the entrepreneur. Because I've had jobs where I just had to bang through a door and just go talk to somebody and let them know I wasn't kidding. And your CPA is not going to be that aggressive. If they were, they wouldn't be CPAs in most cases.
Yeah, CPAs, I mean, that's the thing. You want someone that's studious and they're recorders and reporters, because you're the entrepreneur, right? If they're the entrepreneur, they probably wouldn't be working with you in a transactional environment. That's the thing, right? If they're an entrepreneur, they probably wouldn't be working with you one-on-one. They'd be the owner of the firm.
But I do look forward to following up with you also.
Yeah.
I heard it said years ago, a CPA is someone that bayonets the wounded after the war. Let's take a question from Arjan. Arjan online, let's unmute you.
There you are.
Okay.
It wasn't so much a question. It was just a validation of everything that Thaddeus is talking about. We run tax strategy workshops for people, and what most people don't understand, and I find it easier to accept everything that Thaddeus is saying, which is, by the way, 100% true, if you understand that the P in CPA stands for public. And what that means is that literally they are trained, they are indoctrinated, they have a code of ethics where they are bound and trained to protect the public against business owners. That is literally what CPAs are taught and trained. Lawyers are taught and trained to be advocates for their clients. Doctors are trained and taught to be advocates for their patients. CPAs are trained and taught and indoctrinated on how to be advocates for the public against the entrepreneur. And when you understand that, this all makes sense. It's not like they're bad people. They're not stupid. It's not because they're genetically different than us. But if you take someone and you put them through school and they're trained over and over and over and over again in a code of ethics and conduct where their job is to protect the public against entrepreneurs, you understand why they don't see things the way we do. And there's not one single class that a person is required to take in their entire CPA studies that has one single thing to do with tax strategy. And 99% of CPAs have never taken a single tax strategy class in their entire life.
Yeah.
Wow, that's thank you. That was very insightful.
Can I say like one more thing? Arjun, I think that's great. The thing I would say is this, is that I'll just end with this, and that is if you're paying tax, if you don't want to pay taxes, then there really is a way to do it. Obviously that was not an exhaustive list, but if you're still paying taxes, find new playmates and new playgrounds. And if you're concerned about getting loans or financing, there are literally infinite ways that you can still get loans and financing through ad backs, through other creative ways. So there really is, I've yet to find a really valid, necessary reason to show profit and to show taxes that you can't then come back and then argue in ad backs and other things to do whatever you need to do in business. So, and if you love paying taxes, just write a check for free to somebody or to the government if you really like to that much.
Let's see what Randy has to say. I don't know if it's a question or a comment. Randy Long?
Comment. So first of all, I have had farms in the past. 3 or 4 farms in the past I ran. This strategy was very successful during that whole thing. I've had other real estate for some years that I also ran. And so I'm pretty familiar with the whole thing and have taught it myself over time. My only big caveat, I suppose, is that in truly deep recessions, when banks find themselves in a place where they feel like their security is threatened, they have the ability to essentially mark your property to market, and then you have to come up with the money within 30 days to make them secure again, if you will. So all I would say is that if you're retaining adequate amounts of liquidity, and I've just, in the deep recession in 08, I know a number of real estate investors that went bottom up and lost everything. And it's because they were leveraged pretty far to the hilt. It was the old, build it on other people's money, that whole kind of thing. So I just want to give just one word of a caution. I look for risk everywhere, as you well know. And so I would just give one word of caution to the strategy, just to be understanding that you've got to plan for the recessions that are deep and can affect especially real estate. And so I just want to throw that out. I don't want anybody to think this is like a risk-free kind of a deal. There is economics built into this, so we've got to be smart as we build these models, okay?
Yeah, there's risk in anything, right? There's risk in doing this, there's risk in not doing it. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, and
I'm just looking for balance for it.
That's actually a discussion I want to have too, because I want people to be able to look at this from all perspectives and then make an informed, intelligent decision, right? Borrow.
I don't believe, well, let me say this. Yes, with the asterisk of saying, I don't believe so, because I think as entrepreneurs, if one door closes, there's always another door open. I had a cousin I was helping with this. They said, yeah, that, because I do education on real estate as well. And they said, well, yeah, we tried to get a loan and we couldn't do it. I said, well, how many banks did you call? Oh, we called 3. They said, well, you called 17 too few. Mm-hmm. Like you're an entrepreneur, like you got to figure this out. Right. And so I would say yes, if you're going the traditional route. But if you're an entrepreneur and you know how to solve problems, there's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of money out there. Go to small community bank. I've shown losses for years and able to get millions of dollars in loans for real estate, millions of dollars.
If you want to build your company to sell it, which I'm not planning on, you have no EBITDA, and if you have no EBITDA, you have no resale value. So I would challenge you on that.
Okay.
This is based on a multiple of EBITDA.
Yeah.
So if you create losses the way you want to do it,
Sure.
and you have no EBITDA, there is no multiple. Therefore, your business is
And how do you arrive at EBITDAs?
Pardon?
How do you arrive at EBITDAs?
Earnings before it, tax, and so on. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, and usually within there, there's an add back clause. Usually when you're going to evaluate and you sell, but I'm in the process right now, and the appraiser is asking me, hey, send me all your books, and then we're going to go through and we're going to look at all the add backs, and we're going to be putting those back in there. I mean, that's how I've gotten qualified for loans. And for EBITDA, you got to think it's also in there for depreciation, interest, right? So all those things are added back in. So yes, but if you're going to be selling to somebody that is that puckered about it, I probably would are zeroing out your taxes intentionally, and that it's very profitable at the same time. So if you're a public company and other things, there's other arguments, but.
There's like if you're making lots of money every year, there's a point where you just can't have 300 tractors.
So I'm willing to bet if we sat down for 5 minutes, I'm willing to bet I could find your tractors, you're metaphorically speaking. They're in there, they're all over the place.
Yeah, so here's what I would say. No, and these are good points. Thank you. So I like, I mean, I always want, because if there's any point where someone's like, well, this, what's the deal here? Then A, that's either indicate or don't do this, right? Look into it, because I obviously, like I said even before, I want everyone to do due diligence on anything that you hear here, and also have conversation about it.
Yeah.
So the ones that'd be great.
Yeah. Or of course, you have questions, find me on social media or come grab me here and everything. The simplest thing is this, guys. If you don't believe anything I'm saying or don't want to do any of this, just go buy a piece of real estate and it will naturally do this for you. Just go buy a piece of real estate and tell your CPA you want to do a cost segregation, accelerated depreciation, and you're there. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing magical. Like, that's the easiest tractor to do. Just go get some real estate and then you're there.
Great. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Appreciate
Awesome.
it, man.
All right.
Yep,
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.